where the members of the County Assembly said that yes, there has not been fruitful results from the process or initiated for reconciliation. Some of them are yet to give us the reports. For example, the Nchorencheke that you referred to is yet to give its findings as to the current existing status, whether there has been reconciliation or not. In any case, Mr. Speaker, sir, the public participation is quite different, and the views of the public are quite different from the views of perhaps of those who may be wanting to reconcile. And reconciliation efforts perhaps may also be evidenced by the fact that I've noted in Governor's response that individuals have even moved the President, His Excellency the President, to dissolve the Meru County. That is the indifference, that is a conundrum, whether it should then be dissolved or we should deal with the problem at hand. I'm most obliged.
Senator Olekena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Briefly, I just need to seek some clarification from the Council, from the Assembly. Yesterday, when you were leading one of your witnesses, you alleged to the fact that the Governor had made a statement and said that that witness was given 86 million. Could you clarify the following things? One, whether there was only one pay bill or there were others. I refer to page 168 of volume 1B. There's an account number 075560442, which is also for the pay bill number 247247, which I believe is an Equity Bank. Whether you have that statement here. And then there was also a statement in the same page 168 that says that those donating from abroad should send to a number 0720103-913 if we have a statement to that effect. And then finally, on this issue of the Auditor General report, do you have, as per the Constitution, Article 229, subsection 8, it says that, it reads as follows: within 3 months after receipt of an audit report, Parliament or the County Assembly shall debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. Do you have any report, maybe I missed it out, where the County Assembly of Meru debated on the Auditor General findings and took appropriate action so that we can be able to look into it? Or did you just take the Auditor General report and submitted it as part of your case? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
County Assembly, 1 minute.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir. The witness who testified, one Irene, who is a window to the deceased, confirmed before the Assembly that there only existed one account, and as to whether the money that was being sent from abroad was ever uploaded to the same account. In her examination in chief, she led the House to the evidence that 115,000 shillings that had been generated found itself to the pay bill, and that you find it at page 301 of volume 2, where all the money from that particular number, which was registered in the name of Judith, was eventually credited to the said account, and the credit is reflected as that of 115,000. And the number that was responsible for collecting of the 100,000 shillings, 1,015,000 shillings, appears on the Governor's bundle of document labeled as Volume 1B, at page 168, I beg your pardon, marked as KM20. The number is registered as that from those in diaspora sent to this number, that is 0720 103 913 registered in the name of Judith. That is the number reflected in our bundle of documents statement at page 301. So all the money had one centralized mechanisms of management and only one pay bill. We'll be asking her to give evidence as to the whereabouts of the other millions when her time comes. As the question of the Auditor General, whether it has been debated, the same was generated on the 20th of June 2024. And the motion before the Assembly is dated 31st of July. Debate is yet to take effect at the County Assembly. But the question is, was there a transgression that was notified or noticed by a constitutional organ? And if yes, how do we proceed to deal with that legal transgression?
Senator Mtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise on the question of public participation. I've gone through the bundle, and I don't see any evidence that feedback was provided to the people who gave their views on either why they were accepted or rejected. And this is a standard that has been set by the courts, that there must be feedback to those who present their views. It's not like a census or something. So can the Land Council point me to any part of the evidence they have where they complied with the standard on feedback, on public participation, so that what they have submitted can be admissible as having met the threshold that has been set by the courts, especially in Civil Appeal number E003 of 2023. That's the National Assembly, and another versus Okio Mtato Koiti and 52 others. Thank you.
Proceed, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I must thank the Senator for Busia for the well work done in contributing to the jurisprudence of this country, and especially the question of public participation, which is still a moot area with a lot of jurisprudences emerging, a challenge that also faces perhaps most of the government organizations on how to initiate it and how to get a feedback. I must admit that this is a recent ruling, judgment of the Court of Appeal, which is barely a month old, and therefore, and actually it was delivered on the 31st of July this year when the motion was already in the County Assembly. So I believe that most of the organizations, including this Senate, is yet to adjust itself to meet the legal threshold as laid out by the Court of Appeal. Previously,
Senator Asige, you've answered the Council. Senator Asige.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Yesterday, Speaker, the Council, through his witness-in-chief, played some videos. My questions are as follows. There was one video that depicted a scene whereby it looks like it was said to be the home of the witness-in-chief, and somebody was pouring petrol and then torched a fence on that property. My question is, who took that video? Is there any evidence showing the owner of the device that took that video? Because in the evidence, the witness-in-chief, Speaker, said that the first person to have known that there was a fire on the property was the watchman who came running and then told others. So who took that video at that exact moment when the fire was when it was being torched? Second, Speaker, there was also two other videos where one, the witness-in-chief was doing a interview and spoke about grievances from farmers or about dead cows. The second was a news report talking about a lack of service delivery in a hospital where a lady was made to give birth outside of a hospital. Speaker, I wanted to find out if there are any supporting affidavits, if there are any reports, certified reports of the same two scenarios, which would give credence to the allegation of lack of service delivery in our batch of documentation. Lastly, on page 168, there is a number of an account, and I wanted to know whose it belongs to. It 0755. I forget the rest of the numbers. 60442. Can you please clarify whose that belongs to? Thank you.
County Assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The video that was played was captured by the CCTV footage at 3:48 a.m. It's evidence from the video supported by the affidavit of the mover, and the matter is still subject of these proceedings. The video on the evidence on the dead cows and the lack of services at the county government of Meru, the same is supported by the evidence and the affidavit of the mover annexed here too, and evidence has been laid in chief in that respect. And we have a certificate of electronic evidence produced in respect to that particular footage. On the question of the number, that is 0755560442, that is the number of the witness, or witness PW2, who happens to be the window to the deceased, the slain blogger Sniper. Yeah, and that is part and parcel of the number that forms the basis of the account.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, we shall now move to hear the case for the governor. Counsel for the governor, you have the floor. You have 4 hours to present your case. Those 4 hours do not include the time that the honorable senators will take to seek for clarifications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and thank you, distinguished senators. I stand here to seek your direction, Mr. Speaker, on time management so that we begin on a clear understanding. I make this request, Mr. Speaker, because of what transpired here yesterday. When the Assembly made their case, they spent 3 hours and 10 minutes on the evidence of their first witness, essentially leaving the official time of 4 hours with a balance of only 50 minutes. The net effect, Mr. Speaker, is that the governor's team was completely disadvantaged throughout yesterday, and I'm certain that the senators who were here last night could see how we struggled to wriggle within the limited time. We therefore beseech you that we give directions on time management, and we propose as follows, Mr. Speaker. We ended up using 6 hours yesterday for the witnesses for the Assembly. Out of these 6 hours, 2 were given to the governor's team with no opportunity for extension, and 4 hours and 10 minutes were given to the Assembly team. It therefore follows that the Assembly got 2/3 of the time yesterday, and the governor's team got 1/3 of the time yesterday. We beseech you that in tandem with the principle of equality of arms, the governor's team gets 2/3 of their time today, and the Assembly team gets 1/3 of the time today in advance of commencement of the proceedings, so that every party decides how they want to use or play about with their time, and when they run out of their time, it is their own making and they take the consequences. If that direction finds favor with you, Mr. Speaker, sir, the 4 hours you have given us today translate to 240 minutes, 2/3 of which is 160 minutes. We urge that from the very outset, you direct that the governor's team has their 160 minutes, which they will decide how to use, and the Assembly team has the balance, which translates mathematically to 1/3 of the 4 hours that you have given us today, and they will decide how to use it. So that if any party wastes time, they are wasting singularly their own time and not the adverse party's time. I make this plea, Mr. Speaker, precisely to underpin the principle of equality of arms, because the Hansard of this House will bear me out. The Assembly got 2/3 of yesterday's time. The governor's side got 1/3 of the time yesterday. Once you give that direction, Mr. Speaker, I will then give you how we intend to distribute our time and how we are going to go about calling our witnesses. I humbly submit.
Now, Council for the County Assembly, we need not debate on issues of time. You know exactly what happened yesterday.
Yes.
You were given 4 hours. You took 3 hours and 10 minutes.
I am on a different position that I also wish your guidance so that you can just do it
No,
smoothly.
on time, it's squarely in my hands. So
On time
just
is squarely
sit
on your
as I
hands.
give directions.
That's correct, Lord. Yeah.
Please do. Take your seat.
Mr. Speaker, sir, yesterday proceedings, one Linda, who is a legal advisor, who was a legal advisor, alluded to a fact of forgery of her, a document that is purported to have been issued by her. Mr. Speaker, I'm making an application under Section 65 of the Evidence Act that for purposes of establishing the truthfulness or lack of it of that claim, which is grievous, that this Senate does order the bearer of this document, that is Governor Kawira, to produce the original copy of the same before the close of business so that we can have a look at it.
Council for the County Assembly, let us allow the governor to present her case,
Most obliged.
and then we will be able to handle each issue
I am well guided.
being raised
Most
at the
obliged.
time it's being raised.
Most obliged.
Council for the governor, you may proceed. Indeed, the County Assembly will have 1/3 of the time allocated, just like